Being someone who has hosted several spelling bee challenges in recent times, I can say for sure that there are certain tips and tricks that would help you spell better and become a pro at spelling bees. Welcome to Fluently Speaking with BOLA. My name is Omobolanle Adeshui, and I'm sure you already know that today we're talking about how to become a spelling bee pro. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks to help you spell better, as I said, and of course help you to learn some certain spelling techniques, because spelling has techniques. Although there are some exceptions, but most times you'd always get it right if you go by these techniques, the rules, tips that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video. So if you're interested, you definitely want to keep on watching. Okay, the very first tip I'm going to be sharing with you is that you need to read. Yes, now reading actually doesn't just mean you picking up a book by Francine Rivers, Adley Chase, or a book by Chimamanda Adichie. It's reading, being vast. Read newspapers, read magazines, read books, read fictions, novels, whatever you find available. Reading never fails and it never stops. So of course it's important to be careful the kind of content you read. So you also want to put, after putting in all those checks of morals, standards, and things you don't want to get into your system, of course reading is very, very important, and that way you get to see new words, you learn new words, and also reinforce the old ones you already know. And most times it's always good to read with a dictionary by your side. So while you're going through the book, you're reading the newspaper, you're seeing, you're encountering new words, and you also want to pick up the dictionary to check out the meaning, the pronunciation of those words and their usage. And so that way it registers in your head. So when you get a spelling bee challenge, or you get an examination, or you get to anywhere your knowledge of spelling is being tested, you recall where you saw that word, and then it becomes easy to spell. Thankfully, you don't have to go around carrying the big encyclopedia called a dictionary. You can have a portable one on your phone, a mobile dictionary. I have one on my phone that I use from time to time when I'm not with the physical or the manual one. Okay, so most times it's always good to do that side by side. So the second tip I'm going to be sharing with you is that you need to practice the pronunciation of your letters. And this is where your sounds come in. You can check out my video on how to pronounce your sounds, the vowel sounds, the consonant sounds. I have a video on how to pronounce your sounds, because most times these sounds do not or are not pronounced the way they appear in the word. Say for instance, in a word like comb, you know that the letter B, although it appears at the end of the word, it is not pronounced. And so knowing the pronunciation or the way your letters sound will help you to spell better. And that is why you need to watch my video on vowel and consonant sounds here. For instance, while CH is pronounced as ch in church, it is pronounced as k in psychology. G in imbroglio is silent, while G in embargo is very pronounced. While P is pronounced as P in porridge, it loses its sound completely in psychology. So you want to understand all these little tips and tricks, especially when pronouncing your letters or your words, and that would help improve your spelling skills. Also, you need to learn different spelling styles. What style works for you? Is it in pronouncing the word aloud? Now, I've had different people, different wonderful, amazing people on my spelling bee challenges, and I've noticed different styles that different people use in remembering the spelling of words. Some people like to pronounce the words aloud so that they understand the spelling. Ba, for instance, when they want to spell bachelor, bachelor, bachelor. And then, it brings the memory of what the spelling should look like to them. While for some people, it is them picturing what the word means. So the picture, the meaning of the word, a bachelor is a single man. And then from there, they're able to picture where they saw the word being used or how it is being used in a sentence. While for some people, they need the word to be used in a sentence. Well, in a game, you might not always get the luxury of time to get the presenter to use the word in a sentence for you, except it is a confusing homophone. Say, in my spelling bees, I do not have that luxury of time because it goes on YouTube, and then a lot of people do not have that long a time to go through all that, and so I like to make it as short as possible. So you might not get that luxury of time or that opportunity to ask for a sentence example if you're on a spelling bee challenge, but most times you probably would get that opportunity to ask. But in case you don't get the opportunity to ask for a sentence example, you would have to look for another system that works for you. For instance, thinking of the last time you saw the word, how it was used, the kind of example in which it was used. But remember, as I said, if it's a confusing homophone, you most likely would get a sentence example. For instance, if the word is raw, raw and raw are both homophones. So if I say raw, you may be confused as to which of the words it is. So it's important to ask for a sentence example in that case. And so I could say, the lion roared all night. And then you know that the raw I'm talking about is this one. But if I say, you can't eat raw food until it is cooked, that time or that way, you know I'm talking about this raw. And so there are different ways to go about it. Next tip, study the dictionary for new words or the spelling of old words. You know the way it is, some words can be so confusing, especially words that have double letters, as for instance, necessary. Sometimes some people confuse the C with the S, trying to figure out which of them is a double letter. And so studying the dictionary, reading books would help you remember which of them is a double letter, because most times for these words that have double letters, there's really no hard and fast rule on how to spell them, except you study, you practice, you read, and follow the other tips I've talked about. Another way to learn how to spell better is to find a way to make studying fun. What am I talking about? Find a partner to learn how to spell together or to read books together. You could have a reading partner, and then also play games, word games like Scrabble. I love Scrabble games. And I'm sure that's not because I love the English language, because I've loved it over time, or perhaps I've always loved the English language and that's why I love playing Scrabble. So these games would help sharpen your mind, as I always say, and this is why I always bring games on my show to talk about, or to help you think faster, to help you spell better. And also spelling bees. Spelling bees are very, very important, because even if you lose the first time, you want to prepare yourself better the next time, so that you don't lose to your friend or your partner or those who you're playing with. And so you want to ensure that you make learning fun. You can check out some of the spelling bees we've done in the past to help you understand how to go about it, so that you can learn while having fun. Another way is to learn basic rules in spelling, like I before E except after C. What do I mean? In words like believe or relieve, you find I coming before E. But in words like receipt, receive, you find I coming after E. And so that's a simple principle to go about it, except you're talking about A, that's the A sound. You know that it's always I after E. A as a sound depicts, as in neighbor, way, freight, and so on and so forth. Another rule is to understand root words. Most big words usually emanate or are usually formed from a root word. For instance, international. International has a root word, nation. And so when you recall the root word as nation, it becomes easier to add the other prefixes and suffixes. And so international. Also in autonomy, the root word in autonomy is auto. egocentric. Egocentric. The root word is ego. And so when you recall the root word, it becomes easy or easier to add the other addendums. Finally, you need to be confident. You need to be bold. Confidence is everything in spelling bee challenges, because once your presenter or the host notices any form of doubt in you, then he or she can latch on that. I do that sometimes to my contestants. But most importantly, be confident, be bold. As long as you're prepared, all you have to do is just show that confidence. Don't be nervous, you can do it, and I believe in you. Okay, with these few points or few tips of mine, I hope I've been able to convince and not to confuse you that indeed you can be a spelling bee pro. Thank you so much for being a part of Fluently Speaking with BOLA today. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and watch all my other videos right here. I'll see you next time. Bye.